Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Something is happening in the Ghana Education Service, and if not checked immediately, has the tendency of creating disaffection which can lead to confusion in the service. Let me remind all of us that the largest public sector service, or the largest single public sector service, is the Ghana Education Service. The Ghana Education Service superintends over all pre-tertiary schools at the basic level, and all secondary and secondary technical schools, with the exception of the technical schools that have recently been hived of the Ghana Education Service. So to say, in simple terms, that the Director General of the Ghana Education Service superintends over the largest public sector worker service or worker service in this country. But something happened just last week when an announcement went out requesting newly appointed teachers to provide certain documents before their appointments will be rectified and taking effect. Now, this directive led to a lot of agitation, confusion, and mudslinging on social media. In fact, the Minister of Education and the Director General were at the receiving end of some of these unsavory statements made by people on social media, mudslinging, insults, and so on and so forth. Only to realize that neither the Minister nor the Director General of the Ghana Education Service issued that directive. That directive was issued by a regional director of the Ghana Education Service. Now, who gave the regional director the mandate to issue such directive? I'm hearing from certain circles that the directive came from Controller and Accountant General's Department. The Controller and Accountant General's Department does not have any authority in issuing a direct demand to any assign of the Ghana Education Service. If there is any communication to any level of the Ghana Education Service, the Controller and Accountant General's Department ought to have channeled that request through the office of the Director General. So even if a directive or a request came from the Controller and Accountant General's Department without a cover letter from the Director General, why should somebody implement it? And this thing has been going on and going on and going on. You will be there when a directive will come from an institution without a cover letter from the Ghana Education Service, and then regional directors are ready to implement it, district directors are ready to implement it, heads of institutions are ready to implement it. I have sat on several of these issues when even the data concerning teachers were being given to an organization and an institution without the consent of the Ghana Education Service Directorate or the Director General's office. The employer of teachers in the Ghana Education Service is the management of the Ghana Education Service. In effect, the Director General is the employer. And you do not take decisions concerning employees without express permission from the employer. In GES, or in any organization, we don't take directives from the Minister of Finance. We don't take directives from Control and Accountant General's Department. We don't even take directive from the Jubilee House. If the Jubilee House wants something done, they will have to channel that through the Office of the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. Now, so what happened? Question: by what authority did the regional director take that decision without resort to his boss or her boss? There is another issue. Look, it has been found out that one of the highest rate of transfers is within the Ghana Education Service. And per the conditions of service, and let me explain this and explain it well. Any transfer you effect attracts 2 months gross salary in addition to that month's salary as transfer grants. We never negotiated anywhere that when the transfer is within 50 kilometers, the person does not be paid transfer grant. Please. Some people are showing some 1974 documents. Please. I, talking to you, I was part of those who negotiated the current transfer grants. And there is nowhere that states that when a person is transferred within a certain kilometers, that person forfeits transfer grants. There is nothing like that. So those who are transferring people and are quoting a non-existent document, please, if it was there in the 70s, the year we are talking about is 2026. We are operating under new condition of service regime. There is also something. Be mindful that when you transfer a person, you bring a financial burden on the Ghana Education Service. If you transfer somebody, you bring a financial burden on the Ghana Education Service, because that person so transferred does have a right to demand his or her transfer grant. And the transfer grant, as I said, is 2 months gross salary plus the salary of the month in which the person is being transferred. A few years ago, and this happened under the regime of 2 different director generals, letters were issued to the regions and the districts that any transfer should come to the Ghana Education Service headquarters for permission to be granted for the transfer to be effected. Unfortunately, regions and districts are engaging in transfers, and at the end of the day, there's so much litigation on the Ghana Education Service because these teachers who transferred are demanding their transfer grants. This is becoming a major problem. The district directors and the regional directors should know that they work under the Director General. I have witnessed before in this service where a Director General is giving directives and a regional director disobeyed the directive and did something otherwise. I have seen it before. And all based on transfer for whatever reason. One other thing that I would like to say is that what nearly happened last week and the insults on the Director General and the insults on the minister were caused by somebody. And that somebody ought to have been brought to book. We need to realize that when you are working within the public service, you work within public service rules and regulations. As to what action the Director General would take, that one, it's not my issue. My issue is that every action you need to take, you should ask yourself whether it is within your authority. If you are not too sure, revert to higher authority for clearance and directives. The public service does not belong to any individual. Thank you very much.